Hey everyone, happy Friday. Are you looking for tips and ways of how to heal in community? Are you a Black woman seeking freedom? If so, this is the right place for you. My name is Marissa Price. I am a Black woman social worker, healer, freelance educator. And the purpose of this channel is to provide a safe space for Black women to heal, share resources, process trauma, and safe community with each other. So please subscribe to this channel. Please like this video if you're watching the replay, and also comment below if anything resonates with you. I have a wonderful guest with me today, Diamond Crystal, the gallivanting grandma. I'll pass it over to her to introduce herself and tell us about her YouTube channel.
Thank you so much for having me, Marissa, and happy Friday to everyone and everybody who's going to be in replay land. Appreciate you joining us. Thank you for the invitation. You know, it's funny how life works, right? I reach out to you on one thing and you reach out to me on another thing, and here we are today. I am Diamond Crystal, also known as the Gallivanting Grandma, and I am a global nomad, a 5-star international house sitter, an intentional connector, and an advocate for all Black women 55 and older who are looking to embrace a new journey chapter in their lives with grace and ease. So thank you so much for having me.
Ooh, I love that. And I do want to talk about your YouTube channel, which I've linked in the chat. So please subscribe to Diamond's YouTube
Yes,
channel. But
thank
just
you.
how the inspiration for your channel came about, and who it's for.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's for women who are 55 and over, Black women specifically, who are
Hmm.
going through life's transitions, right? Life throws you lots of different curveballs along the way. And as we mature in this thing called living and life and aging, I think that, you know, you said it in your introduction, it's a safe space. For women in that age group who, you know, have kind of put dreams on the shelf for whatever reason. Life
Hmm.
just started lifing them. But now it's time. And I say that a lot in my posts. It's time. It's never too late. You're never too old. And let's just do it. So that's what the channel is about. My journey as a mature Black woman and a solo global nomad. So I decided to share, and I'm glad that people are tuning in.
Yay! That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, please subscribe. If you're watching the replay, it's also linked in the description section. But I do want to ask, speaking of that, like it's never too late. Back to the water, which we just talked about backstage, but your
We
initiative
did.
to help Black women like overcome the fear of swimming and how that came about. Because I just
Oh
thought
my
that was so
goodness.
beautiful when I saw that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate. Thank you for the affirmation because, you know, a lot of times we have ideas that resonate with us and we wonder whether or not it will resonate with others, right? So this has just
Hmm.
been nothing but beautiful confirmation all along the way. It was almost a year to the date that I spent the month of February in Colombia, in Cartagena and Santa Marta, and just got real disgusted with myself because I'm in these beautiful waterfront locations and I can do nothing but stand at the shoreline and be on the sidelines. And I decided at that point, out of pure personal disgust, you have got to learn how to swim. This is a life skill. You travel the world, go into the most beautiful places, and you cannot fully engage in the travel experience. And I said to myself, I said, you know, I can't be the only one who looks like me, who's experiencing this trauma, lifelong trauma, never learning to swim and having severe aquaphobia. And I had done a few things along the way the last 3 years to try and overcome it, but never really mastered the skill of swimming, which is a survival technique, right? I almost lost my life
Hmm.
in Portugal the year before. So it was like a real light bulb moment for me. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Something's got to be done. And I went from the shoreline in Cartagena back to the cabana. And I was like, I'm gonna do a retreat and everybody's gonna learn how to swim at the same time. And there's gonna be no hesitation or reservation because we're all starting from the same space. We're afraid of the water. We're gonna conquer that mentally, physically, emotionally. And at the end of this 10-day retreat, we're gonna jump off the back of a yacht and celebrate the fact that we know how to swim now. So back to the water is a real
Whoa.
personal journey for me. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And to culminate, right, in jumping off the back of a yacht,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's incredible.
Listen, I like luxury in my life. I know other women do too. And so if I can bring a luxurious learning experience to the community, that has always been my goal. I did a wellness retreat last year in Costa Rica, which was fantastic. And it was really geared around sisters who house sit on a full-time basis, because that's a lot of responsibility. And sometimes you don't take the time to rest. So I put together a retreat just for women who are house sitting throughout the world. Let's come together and rejuvenate ourselves so we can be the best versions of ourselves going back into this house sitting community. So that was last year. This year, we're going to learn how to swim, girl.
Oh wow, that's amazing. That is
Yeah.
amazing.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you.
Yes. Dr. Keisha says, yes, I joined your Facebook group for Sisters Who House Sit.
Oh,
Yeah. I want to talk about that. Your
okay.
Facebook group,
Yes.
specifically
Oh,
for,
my.
right, Black women who are house sitters. Yeah.
Only for Black women
Mm-hmm.
who are house sitting, who are considering house sitting, who are curious about house sitting. And I will tell you, this was born from the mothership, which I call it, Exodus Summit. So many of us came through those
Yeah.
doors a few years ago, right? And I was part of that
Yes.
inaugural event. And it was like, okay, we're talking about house sitting, but it's kind of getting lost in the threads because they have expanded their scope so broadly and so beautifully over the last few years. And I was like, listen, house sitting is getting like lost in all the threads in the comments. So what if I just did a group where Black women talk nothing about nothing but house sitting? And so from the little group that could, we are now, I'm proud to say, 2,200 Black women
Oh,
strong in that group. Yeah, the community is
wow. That
amazing.
is
It's really
amazing.
just supportive and inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love that. And I see Leslin says I need to join as well. Yes, please do. Linked in the
Oh, please
description section if
do.
you're watching the replay and in the chat. Yeah, if you're live. Yes.
Yes,
Please
yes. And it is
join.
Sisters Who Sit House Sitting is the Facebook group.
Wonderful. I do
Thank
want to
you.
ask, just in general, like what inspired you to start traveling the world?
Oh my goodness. It was always a dream, right? So I was married. And
Hmm.
you know how you put those dreams to the side, or when you feel it's going to be time appropriate. When we retire, we're going to see the world. My ex was ex-military, so had international and global experiences that I didn't have. So it was like something that I really was looking forward to. Fast forward, the dissolve of the marriage, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, I can still do this, but how do you find a way to do it? So global travel, was really sparked by a deep desire for freedom, reinvention, and healing. I realized I had prioritized other people and their dreams, meaning spouse, before my own. And so, when I was untethered, I became really untethered and decided to follow my own dreams. And that's how I got into house sitting, because I'm like, travel is expensive. I was a newly single person at the age of 57. And, so I went from two incomes to one and all the things. So I'm like, okay, house sitting can take me there. Let me see about it. But yeah, it was really just time to prioritize my healing and reinvention. And I did that through travel. Reclaiming my
Stepping
life,
by.
reclaiming my time, stepping outside of the familiar,
Hmm.
confronting fears, right? Newly divorced. So, you're used to having that covering of a spouse as far as protection is concerned. And so it was confronting those fears. Can I really navigate these international streets by myself? I don't have a husband, all those things, experience these different cultures. And the answer is yes, I can, I have,
Hmm.
and so can you.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yes. And yes, Love Up Single Mom. Hello. Says, yes, that's incredible. Yes, it is. It truly
Yeah.
is.
It's been an incredible journey, I will tell you.
Yes. And Leslin, yes, that is also linked in the description section as well, the Facebook groups, if you all would like to join if you're watching the replay.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, healing. I could
You know
definitely do
what
that.
I found,
Absolutely.
Marissa? I really have found that
Mm-hmm.
travel has been both a mirror and medicine.
Oh,
It has
wow.
allowed me to face myself in ways that I really never previously imagined. So when I tell you I feel like Superwoman now because I've been doing this for a little over 3 years, and you know, it's just been so empowering. The most empowering thing I've done for myself.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can resonate with that. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, there are parts of yourself, right, that you only
Yes.
discover when you're traveling, that you're
Mhm.
able to kind of conceal, hide, if you're
Yes.
in one place for long enough. And then when you travel, it's
Yes.
like all those parts just become exposed. It's like, whoa, I didn't even know that
Exactly.
that was still there.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, you look in the mirror and you're like, I kind of like this new version, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to talk about healing through travel
Okay.
as you're able
Mhm.
to kind of recover some of these parts of yourself. How has that
Yeah.
journey been for you through travel?
Well, I just completed a 30-day intensive healing journey in program in Cuenca, Ecuador. And I
Mm-hmm.
am currently on the coast in Manta, Ecuador, following that. But 30 days where I had to really just go really deep, introspectively,
Mm-hmm.
um, facing some of the biggest boulders, as our hostess defined them. You know, what are those traumas that you've kind of put aside all these years and said, I'm okay, I don't need to deal with that? Well, guess what? I dealt with the biggest ones over these past 30 days. And so travel has been very therapeutic for me. And then healing is it's intentional. It really is. It's a journey that never ends because you're discovering parts of yourself on every leg of the journey. And you have to be really, really focused on healing those parts of you that perhaps, have been hidden for a long time or that you just don't want to face because of what?
Yes.
What did we learn over these past 30 days? You don't want to face them because of your figs. And the figs, they stand for your fears, your insecurities, the guilt, and the self-sabotaging behaviors that you kind of reach for, dealing with or trying to manage your traumas. And I faced them head on for 30 days, and it was a heavy lift. It really was. Um,
Yeah.
but I feel lighter. I feel wonderful now coming out of it. So healing is a very intentional part of my global travels. I did
I love
ayahuasca.
that.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So all the things, girl, we didn't leave anything to chance at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I love that. And yes, fear, insecurities, guilt, and self-sabotaging behaviors. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Those are
That
the
is
biggies,
amazing.
right?
That's amazing.
Mm,
Mm-hmm. And can I ask just more about that for people who may be interested in like the 30-day retreat that you did or healing
absolutely.
experience? Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, we're here talking tonight about community, and I will tell you that I do not believe. I let me rephrase that. I know I probably wouldn't have done it without my personal community, which was my travel partner, Wendy. Healing happens best in community where you're not, isolated, but you have vulnerability. You're sharing that emotional baggage with someone else, and you can be in a safe space to openly discuss
Mm-hmm.
what it is that you are dealing with. So the support system that you have by doing it with another person, I would highly recommend. And the program is hosted by Lorana Hughes, who is she's in social tech for the last 20 odd years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at the International Welcome Center in Cuenca. We had beautiful accommodations. We had space to rest and restore ourselves, but we did the work. We were on the fourth floor. She called it the penthouse of the building. The community kitchen was on the second floor. So each morning we went down, we had breakfast together, we spoke about, our thoughts, where we were in the healing process. And it was just a phenomenal experience. Again, that I don't think that I probably would not have done a full 30 days had I not had in-person on-site support. So Wendy did it with me. And so we're Gangsta Grannies right now. That's the name of the program,
Ah,
Gangsta Grannies.
yes.
And it is organized and run through the Global Underground Railroad. So if
Mm.
you ever ask what's in a name, I think that's like 1000% explains it. The Global Underground Railroad. How do you get free? You get free by eliminating that emotional baggage that's holding you back. Because once you do, then the world belongs to you. You know, you're worthy.
Mhm.
You see, you're worthy of your joy, your adventure, your abundance. And that's, what we really focused on these last 30 days. So I would encourage anybody who's serious about moving to healing on a next level, do it there.
Mhm.
You
Mm.
know?
I love
Yeah.
that. That's amazing. And I
It
do
was an
see,
amazing
yeah,
process.
yeah, yes. Dr. Keisha says, yes, tethered, yes, but I'm trying to find short bursts of travel freedom. I guess that's my question.
Okay.
Like for people who still have commitments,
Hmm.
maybe in the US, right? What are
Yeah.
the ways to be able to travel and experience that freedom when you can, even if it's just in short bursts until you get to your ultimate goal, whatever that is?
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to use the word intentional once again. We tend
Hmm.
to, as spouses, as partners, as moms, we tend to prioritize everybody else's needs over our own. So even
Hmm.
if you can't do long stints of travel, I would say if you've never done a solo trip, go to a city that you always want to visit. If you're from California, go to New York. Experience the big city on your own, or take yourself out to dinner. Book a hotel room for the
Ooh,
weekend.
yes.
I don't
Hmm.
care where it is, within driving distance of your home. But get out and get that restoration that you need, and prove to yourself that you're your own best company. I think, when we are tethered by relationships and obligations, we forget how much we like ourselves. And that's an opportunity for us to, just kick back, relax, and enjoy you, me, on my own. I
Hmm.
really had forgotten how much I liked myself before I started on this journey. And I think that's vitally important. We got to get back to loving ourselves. And that means
Hmm.
spending time with ourselves, not necessarily everybody else who we have responsibilities to.
That's so powerful. Yes. Yeah, because there's like a fear often, especially like in the US, around being alone that I've come to understand, right? As I've been
Yeah.
traveling, solo traveling some places, I'm
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
where does that come from? Because I enjoy being with myself. And like over time, there's kind of a shame around it that develops, right? And
Yeah,
so kind of getting back to like, no, you need to be like the person who loves you and spending
that's
time
right.
with yourself. Yeah.
That's right. You should know yourself better than anyone else in the world. And you should definitely love yourself more than anyone else can. Because if you don't, how you gonna show somebody how to love you if you don't know how to love yourself? And
Hmm.
that's a lesson that's hard to learn a lot of times because, we have societal constraints, obligations, expectations that, if you're a good wife, you do X, Y, and Z. If you're a good mom, you don't go places without the kids. It's always the family vacation. But what about me? I'm
Right.
watering all the flowers around me, and everybody is blooming and growing. And, you sit in your room, and sometimes you say, you know what? I'm withering. Who's watering me? So don't leave that responsibility to anybody else. Pick up your own watering can and start sprinkling.
Wow. Who's watering me?
Who's watering me?
I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah. That's so important. Yeah. Please ask yourself that question, right? Because
Yeah.
you deserve to be watered too. You deserve to bloom.
Oh my
All these
goodness.
things that you help other people do. Hmm.
Yes, yes. And embrace joy without guilt. I think, that's a big thing, particularly for Black women. I've said it on other channels and I'll say it on yours that I grew up with very strong Black women, very determined, very accomplished Black women who did everything but rest. You know,
Mm.
rest and
Mhm.
relaxation was not a thing. I didn't know Black women who did that. And so I am determined to be that Black woman who embraces that without any guilt whatsoever. If it brings me joy, come on, give me a little bit more.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Yes, and it's
Yeah.
so important. It's so
It's
important.
it's vitally
Um,
important. How do you move forward,
mhm.
you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you're doing that. Yeah.
I do want to ask about the importance of seeing the world, right? I am the first person in my family to have this adventure to go outside the US
Hmm.
in this capacity,
Yes.
to spend an extended time abroad, and just the importance of
Uh-huh.
seeing the world and seeing yourself as a global citizen, especially as Black women. Anything you want to share about that?
Absolutely. I think it's radical. I think it's
Hmm.
restorative. Like I said, we've been conditioned to put ourselves last, to settle for less, to shrink in spaces that we feel weren't designed for us. I was having this very conversation month before last. I was in St. Croix, and my cousin lives there, my first cousin, and I say he's my brother before I had a brother because we grew up together. It's a year apart, and he lives in St. Croix. And I travel the world. And he said, Cuz, did you ever think? And I'm like, no, I really never did because we didn't have that example. I
Yeah.
grew up in New York. He grew up across the bridge in New Jersey. And where was the furthest that we went with our families? With our families was Florida, you know? And that
Hmm.
was a big chunk of resources and time for our families during that period, but that's as far as we could see ourselves. Maybe we thought about going to California because you grow up in New York, and that's like a whole world within itself. Nothing's bigger or better than New York in your mind. So you're like, well, the next biggest thing I could do is go to California, but we didn't know anybody who was traveling internationally.
Hmm.
So I think that seeing the world, particularly on a solo basis, it kind of dismantles the limiting beliefs that we have. It
Hmm.
introduces us to new ways of living. It affirms again that we are worthy of this joy, of this adventure, of the abundance that comes with it. And we don't have to ask for permission anymore. There's so many different ways to get it done. Just think about it. Carve out your own path, define freedom on your own terms.
Ooh, I love
Yeah.
that. Define freedom on your own terms.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that has been transformative for me, right? The
Hmm.
ways in which we're socialized often, in the US as being like you can't leave the borders often.
You can't leave. Right.
And then, yeah. And then
You,
once you have the freedom that a passport provides you with, right, to be able to
oh,
be like, oh no, I'm part of this world too,
oh
not
my
just this
gosh.
country. Mm-hmm.
I am a global citizen. I mean, when you
Mm-hmm.
have that realization, it's like that mind blowing epiphany. I belong everywhere I want to be. And like you said, that little blue book, oh, it is,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's the key to freedom. It really, really is. People don't understand. I preach it all the time. Get your passport, make sure that it's up to date, make sure that you're using it, in any way that you feel you want. You don't have to go across the globe, right? But you can
Sure.
cross the border. You can cross that border, and once you
Mm-hmm.
do, you can't unsee it. You can't unknow it. You can't shake that feeling that, oh my God, this is a huge accomplishment and I did it on my own. And there's a whole nother world outside of the United States. And you know what? That world is a whole lot better in so many different ways. And
Mm-hmm.
people can tell you about it all till cows come home, as they say. They can tell you about it, but until you actually experience it, you can't
Yeah.
unknow it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's so true.
Mhm.
I do want to ask about the fear around getting a passport, right? Because we see things in place like people are making it harder to get passports, right, in the
Yeah.
US.
Yeah.
And just the fear that people may experience around even taking that first step to
Hmm.
get that document that allows you to travel outside the US. Can you speak to how you work through that, to experience that freedom, like you said, on the other side, because you can't
Yeah.
unsee once you're
Yeah.
able to leave the borders what exists outside the US?
Exactly. I just think it's just limited beliefs, right? And
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is, drinking the Kool-Aid that the United States pours out in generous doses, making you believe that this is the best place in the world to be. So you do have that fear, and understand where the messaging is coming from, right? We don't like to use the word propaganda, but really, isn't it? There's no
Yeah.
place that's safer than the United States. But for people who look like you and I, the rest of the world is a hell of a lot more safe for us, particularly
Mhm.
in these perilous times. So I think it's fear of the unknown. I've never been outside of my country. People are coming from other countries to the United States. Why would I want to leave? They're right. There's nothing out there for me. But you know what? Everything is on the other side of your comfort zone. All good things in life.
That's
So
true.
yeah, I think it's the propaganda, and the fact that we may not have those living examples of international travel. Like I said, nobody in my family went any further than, from one coast to the other. So if you don't
Yeah.
have that example, which is why I'm so adamant about being that example for my daughter and my granddaughter, like, yep, world is big, and you can take up as much of that space as you absolutely want to and can. You have permission.
Ooh, you have
You have
permission.
permission.
I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think like something that Exodus Summit did for a lot of us, right, is show us that it's possible. Seeing
Yes,
Stephanie Perry, Rashida Dow, please subscribe to their channels. Seeing them travel, right, it like opened
yes,
my eyes to all the
yes.
possibilities that exist outside of what I
Absolutely.
was in, right? So you need those examples. You need to see other people doing it so that you know for yourself it's possible too.
Absolutely. And then, you
Hmm.
got to get outside your own head, right? Because
Yeah.
the noise and the messages that you're telling yourself, they make absolutely good sense to you because nobody else is listening. But what Exodus Summit did for me was to show me, oh my God, there's a whole community of women who look like me, who this is not such a crazy idea. There were people in my circle 5 years ago who like, what are you talking about? What do you mean you're going to do this, that, and the third? They didn't get it. But when I found Exodus Summit, I'm like, oh, it's a whole tribe of women who get it, who are doing it, who are actively planning to do it. I'm not by myself. So, the noise started to make sense. And I think that's the beauty of community. That's the healthiest part of community is when um, you find like minded folks that you can talk to and don't have any of those hesitations or reservations because they just get it. Is vitally important, I think, to making the decision to finally do it.
Yes.
So shout out
I
to
so
Exodus
agree.
Summit. Shout out to Stephanie Perry because she's the house sitting, she's the black woman house sitting goat. If it had not been for Stephanie doing it, I didn't know anybody who did it. I didn't know it was a thing, but now it's a lifestyle. So thank you.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yes, that it is. I
Yeah,
do want to
yeah.
ask, as you mentioned, community, just the role that community has played in your healing journey.
Hmm.
And then anything you want to share about the YaYa Sister Circle? That was
Ooh,
intriguing.
that's my sacred space.
Hmm.
Thank you for asking because community has been absolutely essential to my healing. It is not by happenstance that I find myself back in what I call one of my happiest places on the globe, which is Monte, Ecuador. This is where I started my healing journey back in 2022. I got here in January. And those 83 days that I spent in this country, just focusing on myself, what I wanted my future to look like, and having community here to give me a soft landing when I arrived. Because this was really my first foray into international travel. I had been to the Caribbean, but I think the majority of us on vacations, et cetera, have probably been to the Caribbean at some point or another. But going to a whole nother country that far away, Ecuador, I didn't know anybody who had been to Ecuador. Nobody understood why I wanted to come to Ecuador. But it was the sense of community that I found in that Facebook group initially that said, yes, you're welcome. Come here. Let us help you navigate the country, the culture, find you a place to stay. All of those things were essential. So there's something powerful about being seen, supported, and uplifted by people who genuinely understand your journey. Not on an intimate level per se, but who understand why it is important for you to travel internationally. And once I found that community was there in a supportive and uplifting way for me, I started talking about it on my social media. At that time, I didn't even have a
Mhm.
YouTube channel. I was scared of YouTube. I didn't understand it. I didn't want to do it, all the things. Um, but I said, if I needed this sense of community and I needed somebody who could listen and get me outside of my head, perhaps that's a circle of women that I can, um, pull together. And that's exactly what it is, a sacred place where mature Black women gather, share, heal together, whether it's, storytelling, sharing wisdom, or simply holding space for one another. Healing is not personal. It's about the collective. It really is. We're better together. And that's what this
Mhm.
healing journey has shown me, is that we are so much better together. Yeah. So that's what the
Yes.
YaYa Sister Circle is about. And you can do group or you can do individual sessions. You can do one or you can do monthly. So yes, we'll drop that link, I hope, at some point. Thank you. I see it. Yes. And
Yes.
I named
Hmm.
it Dream Again. Because like I said, sometimes we get to that space of maturity or in life where perhaps there are some mobility concerns, some health concerns
Yeah.
that will kind
Mhm.
of tell you in the back of your mind, no, you can't really do this on your own, or you can't do this, or this doesn't make sense. But that's where community comes in, so
Mhm.
boots on the ground, giving each other a soft landing, putting one another in touch with people who can help as far as insight and resources in real time. That's what the YaYa Sister Circle is all about.
That's amazing. And yes, it's linked in the description if you're watching the
Thank
replay,
you.
and also in the live chat if you're here
Yes.
live. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. That is amazing. I do see a question I want to get to.
Uh-huh.
ADS, how does one seek community when they don't believe that humans are safe or trustworthy? So the fear, right, around entering new communities. Anything you want to speak
Yeah.
to around that?
I'm just going to say that the fear is real, right? But it takes
Hmm.
the same amount of energy to put into fear that it takes to put into faith. And so put your energy in faith. And that is one of my favorite hashtags, is faith over fear. You have to confront those fears. And, it's like I said, it's real. So do it with baby steps. I don't know, I can't say that I believe that humans are not trustworthy. I think, at our core, we really are. I think when you find people that are like-minded, reach out to them and be transparent in what you're looking
Hmm.
for. Be transparent in who you are. And I feel that transparency is the key, because people don't want to be sold. People don't want to, be in touch with people they feel are disingenuine. So, keep moving forward in the direction of your dreams. And you're going to find that we have more things in common than we have that divide us. And the more you see folks like that, the more trusting you'll be. So, faith over fear. That's my answer.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and I was going to say the same thing, right? Baby steps over time,
Yes.
little by little,
Yes.
right? Entering a
Yes.
community, seeing if it feels safe,
Yep.
and then building connections over time, not viewing it like you have to do everything at once, right? Because it's a
Absolutely
process of
not.
unlearning, of healing that you're undertaking internally. So yeah,
Yes.
giving yourself time, patience, self-compassion, all those things is so important.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And if you want realness from folks, then show up authentically.
Ooh, yes,
Real recognize real.
absolutely.
You remember that statement from way back in the day? Real recognize real, spirit recognize spirit. So, you got to put forth what it is that you want in return. And you will find, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised that there are people who you can now call tribe. You can call community.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's powerful. I do want to ask about your co-living group, just how it came about, the name of it, since you have another
Uh-huh.
Facebook group that I'll link in the chat too, and anything you want to
Yes.
share around the power of this
Thank
community.
Yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
it is powerful. I had a small group that was called Sisters Sharing Accommodations. Um, and because of full-time house sitting, running my house sitting group, and then getting into holding space during for counseling for women, I was like, I really can't do another group. So the co-living group was also getting started. Now, I will say that I am no longer an active administrator in this group. However, I am an active advocate for co-living. It was born from a mix of, as everything is in my life, personal experience and necessity. As I started traveling, I was meeting a lot of women, especially retired Black women who wanted community. They were looking for affordability. They were looking for
Hmm.
adventure, not really knowing how to access it. And let's keep it 100. Housing is one of the biggest barriers to any of us living freely, right? If you
Ooh,
can
yes.
eliminate or minimize your housing expense, then you're on your way to freedom. And I realized that the co-living model could be a solution for just that. Again, community, affordability, a sense of adventure, support built in. So by coming together, we create these intentional spaces where we're able to thrive instead of just surviving. Real talk, Wendy and I are sharing an incredible 2-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom high rise here in Manta, which faces the ocean. I go to sleep with the sound of the ocean and ocean view every night for $500 a piece. So tell me how co-living can't work when it's based on like-mindedness and healing, because I do believe that you got to have some healing under your belt to be able to live with somebody,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Because there are going to be disagreements. You need to address them in peace and walk away in love. And if you don't have those skills because you've done some introspective work, then co-living is not perhaps going to be the best model for you. But do the work. Get to know yourself, be able to set healthy boundaries, be able to have conversations that do not ignite anybody's traumas, or the gas button for anyone. So I think
Hmm.
there are some skills that you have to successfully co-live. I'm very fortunate because Wendy and I are great friends. We have been from the beginning when we met in 2022 right here in Manta. So this is a full circle moment for me. Full circle moment. But I think co-living is the answer as Black women are moving into retirement and fixed income and all those things that
Hmm.
dictate how and where you live. I find people are holding on to homes that no longer serve them simply because they can't see a way, an affordable way to move or to um, relocate to expat, right? They can't figure it out. Co-living is one of those baby steps that you can do. Try it out for a month or three and see how it works for you. So building
Mm.
intentional
Hmm.
spaces where people can come together and have collaborative support, sharing finances, all of those things I think is very, very important. So co-living is really a passion of mine.
I love that. And for those who may not know, just like the basics of co-living, like what is it? Like what does it entail? The benefits? Anything around that
Mhm.
that you like to share?
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's about having community, built-in community, affordability, sharing those resources, being there for one another. Perfect example. Wendy got sick during our 30 days in Cuenca. And so I was there, right? She didn't have to be ill alone, which is what a lot of us as we age is like, what if I get sick?
Mm.
Who's going to know? Who's going to check on me? Who's going to bring me some chicken noodle soup? So, she wasn't feeling well. I'm like, listen, girl, I got you. I get in the kitchen, I make some chicken noodle soup. It's all about supporting one another on every level that you need. So I think that's the important part of co-living that people see. It's not really just about co-housing because we can all live in the same place, but are we part of a community? Are we intentional about
Right.
supporting one another in every aspect that's necessary? There are women whose grown children are like, I don't want you to leave because what if something happens? I can't get to you. Well, what if we
Hmm.
change that narrative and said, listen, I'm not going to live by myself. I'm going to live with a group of women who are just like me and they got me. And you can get on a Zoom call and say, so how's mom doing this week? Or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. Wendy has
Hmm.
moved from a sister friend to she's Auntie Wendy when my daughter calls. Hey, Auntie Wendy, because our children understand that we are one another's community at this point. We are one another's support system. And I would imagine that that gives them a level of comfort that perhaps they wouldn't have if we were out here alone. And so that's what I say to women, find your community. And it's not as hard as you think it is. Co-living can be an answer to that.
Mm,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And can you speak to like the power of healing, right, and personal growth, as you've already mentioned,
Uh-huh.
that can happen when you are in a co-living space, and just the
Yeah,
emphasis within the co-living group that we've talked about before, right, on healing, on processing
absolutely.
trauma when you're living in such
Uh-huh.
close proximity to someone that you may not know that well. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, let's be real. Communal living will challenge you, right? Because it's not a model that most of us are used to, unless we had a grandma that lived with us or an older auntie who came to live with us. It's something that we're not that familiar with. It challenges you, but it also nourishes you on so many different levels. It's going to teach you patience and flexibility and the beauty of interdependence. So what if my Spanish is not as strong as my co-living mate's Spanish and we need to go to the store? Well, girl, I'm going when you go because you know how to speak the language and you can introduce me to your favorite vendors and I'm not going to get jacked up in these streets, right? So it's that the
Yes.
beauty of interdependence. We live in a world that often isolates us, particularly
Hmm.
as we get
Oh yeah.
older, and living in community really serves as a reminder that we're not alone. You don't have to be alone unless you want to be alone. It creates that built-in support system. It fosters deeper connections and allows for those shared resources, right? That everybody can share the resources and everybody thrive instead of survive. If we want to go out to eat dinner tonight, then everybody's going to go and we're going to share in that experience. There's a lot of trepidation sometimes. Oh, I don't go to a restaurant by myself, or I don't go here by myself. Well, if you're in a co-living situation, which is healthy, then that could help alleviate some of that stress, right? Enhance that
Hmm.
quality of life, and reinforce that healing, which happens every single day on some level. It does not have to be a solo journey. It can be a community thing.
Mm, beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Ooh. And the power of having someone else to go on that journey with you, especially as you're moving abroad, which can be a really difficult
Yeah.
transition, right?
Yeah.
And having like that built-in community, right, that you can refer to.
Sure.
If like a medical thing comes up, you have someone to contact.
Yes.
Because that's a lot of the fear, right, that people have around moving abroad. Like, what if something happens? Because we're
What
taught
if?
to, yeah, kind of live in fear, especially coming from the US. That's our first thought.
Hmm.
And so having that built in, like the people already
Yeah.
that will
Yeah.
support you, that will take you somewhere if you need to go there.
Hmm.
That can be life changing, and it can provide those
Absolutely. I
options,
mean,
right? Hmm.
realizing that there's nothing wrong with saying, sis, I need you to hold my hand today. There's nothing wrong with that.
Hmm.
There's no weakness in that, right? But if you let your fear overcome your faith, then you'll never know that. I was in Chapala, Mexico, which is another community that is near and dear to my heart. I spent 6 months there. And that sister community is just so supportive and so powerful. But funny story, one of the sisters was going on a date, right? Because we date in these international streets at 55, 65, 75. We
Okay.
dating out here, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know who the person was who was picking her up. I didn't know where they were going. And so, she said to me, she said, sis, I'm going on this date and I'll be back in 2 hours because I'm really not trying to stay out late. Well, 2 hours turned into 3 hours. Now I'm calling. and I'm not getting a
Mm.
response, right? It's going straight to voicemail. So she's in a dead zone. There's no internet, no Wi-Fi connection. So
Mhm.
I'm worried. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I don't even know where to start looking for her, blah, blah. 2 hours after she was supposed to come home, she walks in. She's on cloud nine. She's had a beautiful time. And I'm sitting there and I'm stewing, Marissa, because I'm scared, right?
Yeah,
Where is she?
yeah.
What's happened to her? So we had a real heart to heart. And I said, listen, you can't do that anymore. I said, we're here together and you got to give me some more information. We got to have a system, SOPs. When you go on a date, take a picture of the car, take a picture of the guy, let me know what restaurant you're going to. It's not like I'm checking up on you, but it's accountability. Right. And it's a safety
Yeah,
precaution,
yeah.
right? Because you're going out on your own with a person that you necessarily do not know. And like I said, you're putting your faith in front of your fear. But at the end of the day, you got to do your due diligence and, you got to keep your head on swivel, right? Out here in these streets by
Mhm.
yourself. So we had a
Yes.
conversation and she apologized. She was like, I know how you feel. She
Mhm.
identified with how I was feeling. And we came up with, okay, these are the things when you go on a date, this is what I'm gonna provide you with. And when I do, this is what I will provide you with. So open communication, honest communication about our fears, right? Alleviates a whole lot of that
Mhm.
because we're in community and we can support one another. So it's really just it's open and honest. Yeah.
Open and honest communication.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's so vital.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes. And I want to ask,
Uh-huh.
yeah, feeling like it's too late. I think that's my next question. Like, for those of us who may feel like it's too late, right? That ship has already sailed. If
Mm,
you've had these dreams to do something like travel abroad, like join a co-living community,
yeah.
um, how do you work through those fears and also like remind yourself that it's never too late to do anything that you want to do in life? There is no time limit.
Hmm.
And these things are actually set up to kind of like force us into these roles, these boxes, right, that don't
Yes.
actually exist. So anything that you want to say around that?
I think that one of the biggest lies that we've been told and that many of us have listened to is that your best years are behind you. I don't feel that. I'm 62
Mm-hmm.
and I don't feel like my best years are behind me. I feel like my best years are still in front of me. So that's the big lie that we all have, kind of bought into. But you said, what if your ship has sailed? Well, then, catch the next boat, get on the train
Ooh,
because it's never too late to
wow.
rewrite your story. Healing, reinvention, they have no age limit. They really don't. Whether you're 55 or 85, you still have so much of life to live and you live it every day. You die one time, you live continually. So, how are you going to live? And we said it before, the key is to take a step at a time. Join a supportive community, give yourself permission to dream again. Um, Put your faith in front of your fear. But it's never too late to rewrite that story. Catch the next thing smoking and do it. Prove to yourself
Oh
what a
my
badass
gosh.
you are at any age. Prove to yourself what a badass you are. I feel completely invincible at this point in my life. I've never felt so empowered at this age anytime in my life before.
Mm,
And it's really because of
mm,
international travel. Because once you
mm-hmm.
navigate these streets
I
by
do want to ask.
yourself, you like, girl,
Mhm.
I can do anything.
Yeah, it's true. Those
Yeah,
fears, right? Little by little, as you work through them, it's like, oh, I can do this brave thing. I can do this brave thing. It gives you that momentum to keep trying things
it
that you
really
were afraid of.
does. Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. The body in motion
Yeah,
stays in motion. The mind in motion stays in motion.
that's
So let's
right.
just keep going. Let's keep pushing. I want to see what the next level's
Hmm.
going to look like.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I want to ask how your perspective on healing, life, travel has changed over the course of your life. Um, and anything you want to share around that, right? Because we know, like, as we go
Um,
through different phases of life, we gain new information and it
yeah.
changes us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely changes us. And just seeing how folks in other countries are very conscientious about the environment, the waste of water, the waste of food, it gives you a completely different perspective, because in the United States, we're
Wow.
extremely wasteful, because we feel like we can get more. So other countries don't hold those same kinds of beliefs and values. So am I more conscientious about the water that I'm running, the electricity when I leave out of my apartment or wherever I'm staying? Yes, I am. Am I more appalled at pollution and trash along the highways and byways? Yes, I am, because of international travel. You know, um, it just gives you a completely different perspective. Like I said, the United States is very wasteful. It's a capitalistic society. So the more you waste, the more
Yeah.
you have to buy.
Mm-hmm.
I have gotten very comfortable with buying what I need for this time right now, because part of socialization in other countries is going to the market, right? On a
It's
regular
true.
basis, getting to know, for me, who has the freshest fish and when's it coming in and what did you catch today? Because what you caught today is the freshest, and that's what I want to eat. you know
Mm-hmm.
but what's in season? These are things that I don't think we really, I know I didn't consider before I started international travel. So it just changes that mindset drastically, in the best ways possible, because listen, this is the only earth that we have, and I think other countries take
Only one.
care of their
Mm-hmm.
earth space much more productively than we do. Yeah. So that was
Yes.
some of the
Mm.
biggest changes that came out of international travel.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and I'll say
Yeah.
that's the same for me. Now being in Guadalajara, right? Seeing people
Yeah.
buy enough just for today or maybe the next
Uh-huh.
day too. Because
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah.
used to, as an American, like planning, like
Yes.
hoarding almost,
Yes.
as we
Yes.
saw right during the pandemic with people hoarding things from other
Mhm.
people.
Yeah.
And having to unlearn that and embrace
Hmm.
more of like a community mindset, just take what you need
Yes.
for the moment
Take
versus
what
like
you
hoarding
need.
everything for yourself. Hmm.
That's right. That's right. When we were in family settings and we were raising our children, et cetera, you had to grocery shop for a week or two. And that really was probably contingent upon when you got paid, right? Was when you did your big shop. In other countries, there aren't big shops.
That's
There are
true.
Costco's and Walmarts and big box stores for Americans who are abroad. Locals don't shop there. They don't have the
Hmm.
freshest produce and food. They don't have the most affordable prices. They don't have that sense of community. So those places are really built for us when we're traveling. And those are the places that I like to stay away from. I like the tiendas. I like going into the local markets. Here in Manta, there's a place that's up the street and around the corner. And you can get a whole dinner for $1 or $3 and be full. And it's mind-boggling. But you go out, you get your dinner, you spend all of $2, and I got a $2 dinner with fish and beans and rice and salad and still had some left over. It's just amazing what you can do when you change your
Hmm.
mindset from hoarding, as you said, to, what, I can take that walk, I need the steps anyway, let's go to the market today and see what's fresh.
Yes.
So it's healthy on so
Yes.
many different
Completely
levels, right?
different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. And I want to ask, like, some of the places that you travel to. I know that you mentioned you're in Manta, Ecuador.
I am.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Chapala,
Well,
I think you
Monte,
mentioned too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time in Chapala because those ladies are tribe. Those are my sisters. But lots of places in Mexico, the EU. Last year I was in Portugal, Spain, Morocco, um, Guatemala, ooh, Panama. Yeah, I gotta think. I gotta think. I'm an international house sitter, so I set my sits up for places that I want to visit. And I have been actively dating countries for the last 3 years because I don't have a home base anywhere. So, if you get past first base, we had a great date the first time. then I'm coming back. Like I went to Portugal the year before,
Hmm.
and last year I went back again, and I spent, like almost the maximum amount of time that I could there because I want to get to know a
Hmm.
country. So yeah, but on my horizon is Southeast Asia and the continent of Africa. Just biggies for me.
Wow.
But this lifestyle has afforded me almost all of South America and Central America, Costa Rica, Uruguay, Argentina. So yeah, just a breadth of experience that I really would never have been able to afford or do without house sitting as this tool.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's so inspiring. Thank you for sharing that. Um,
absolutely.
I know that
And that's what we
when I
talk
was,
about in the group. Where you want to
yeah,
go? Where you want to go? House
I
sitting
love
can take you
that.
there. Yeah.
That's amazing. And yeah, for those of us like international travel may be new. I remember being in that space like 2.5 years ago, probably, and just
Yeah.
seeing other Black women share their stories. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a
Yeah.
whole thing that I did not even know was possible for me because all I saw was
How
like
about that?
kids who had enough money to study abroad, which is not
Mm-hmm.
me, right? So like having to like reprogram my
Yeah.
mind that
Yeah.
this is actually a possibility for me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
It was
It's
it was a
powerful.
game changer for me because, like I said, I was in a transition period in my life when I
Hmm.
discovered and started taking advantage of house sitting as a travel tool. Like I said, I was newly divorced. I was like, where am I gonna get this money to go all these places? Well, if you don't
Hmm.
have to pay for accommodations, then you can get yourself a cheap flight almost anywhere if you're diligent,
Hmm.
right? The accommodations is what costs you. You know, you paying a $200 to stay somewhere a night. Housing is restrictive, and with house sitting, it's not. So I stay in the most luxurious places, hot tub, pool, views. I'm very selective with who and where I house sit for. And like I said, it's got to be someplace that I'm interested in traveling to for a good chunk of time, 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time. I was in Chapala for 5 months on one house sit, 5 months in Mexico, where I didn't have to pay for housing. So it really is a game changer. And so I say use this tool to your advantage because, like you said, it hasn't been something that has been readily available or the awareness
Hmm.
of it for people who look like us. We always thought it was
Right.
other folks, but no, no,
Hmm.
no. In
Hmm.
my house sitting group, like I said, there's over 2,200 Black women who are about it,
That's
and so
incredible.
many more. Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah,
And I know we talked about this before, but like the fixed income, right? That's
yeah,
huge. As we see again, like social programs being cut left and right in the US. And a lot of people feel like it's off limits for them, right? Moving abroad.
right.
But there are ways that you can do it where it's
Hmm.
still attainable for you by getting into community, right? By sharing resources. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
I think really that's the biggest benefit of co-living. If you can embrace that concept, because we have not been socialized to share our personal space, unless it's a real immediate family situation. Like I said, we may have experience with grandma having to live with us or an elderly relative, but making a conscious decision as an independent Black woman to share your personal space with somebody else, that's something that we're like, no, 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 I'm good. I'm good. I need my
Hmm.
own this and I need my own that. But you don't know how much you don't need your own until you experience co living, because I'm in the living room. I'm here by myself. I got my own bedroom with ensuite bathroom with waterfront balcony. And when I come out and want to be social, that's fine. And when I don't, I got space, I got room. We share responsibilities as far as cleaning is concerned. And if neither of us want to clean, guess what? We've saved enough money by co living to hire a housekeeper.
Hmm.
Last year we were in Colombia for a month together, and it was so affordable that we had somebody come in and cook every week. So, that's what I say thriving versus surviving. What are those things that shared resources, what are those services where you can share the resources to make your life softer, more gentle,
Yes.
easier. You don't have to get up and think about breakfast. Maybe coffee's already made in the morning. That's the thing that I was missing. And so if I get up first and I put the coffee on, if Wendy gets up first, she puts the coffee on. It's no big deal. That's community. And those are some of the benefits of sharing space, not just for financial reasons. And that's a big one. Because like you said,
Mm-hmm.
I'm retired. So my
Mm-hmm.
income is fixed. I don't plan on working from my lips to God's ears. I don't plan on working for anybody else ever
Mm-hmm.
again, as long as I'm on this earth. And the
Yeah.
decisions that I've been able to make, utilizing house sitting as a tool, and then, parlaying that into co-living this year. I'm on a mission to do proof of concept. Co-living can work.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you how. I'm going to show you the inside of co-living between Wendy and I, and,
Yeah.
and any other sister who may later join the cohort, right? That's what it's all about in 2025. Proof of concept. It can work
Mm-hmm.
because, like I said, I'm real particular. So if I can do it, so can you. You just got to find the right tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that, like your goals
Hmm.
going forward in 2025 for attracting more people right into what you're doing, showing people that it's possible
Yeah. Yeah.
to take this route,
Yeah.
right? When you have a community that is there, that is set up to support you, and so that you don't have to do it by yourself, which is often the
Yes.
fear around taking anything new, right? Any new step.
Hmm.
Yeah, any goals or things that you see coming forward in 2025 for your co-living group?
Yeah, I really just think that we are going to increase awareness through social media
Mm-hmm.
platforms, YouTube. Again, I'm going to use the word being completely transparent because everything is not, peaches and cream, right? How do you navigate when there is, a hard discussion to have within your co-living group, whether that's two people or more? I very adamant about saying that anybody who joins Wendy and I has to have some healing under their belt because, conflicts will arise. And if you don't have
Right.
that skill set, then you may not be able to navigate it for a positive outcome for the entire group, not just for yourself, right? Because we are very self-centered people. That's just the
Mm-hmm.
reality of it. So have a skill set that can help you to navigate, when there are some issues that will arise. Talk about it in peace, leave in love. That's my goal. That's my goal. So yeah, just raising awareness this year, I think, and proving, as I think I've proven with house sitting that it can be done. People are like, wait a minute, you've been bopping around the world and you haven't paid rent or mortgage in 3 years. And I'm like, I haven't paid rent, mortgage, electric bill, internet bill, any of that in 3 years. So I have proven it can be done. And I really have the goal of proving that co-living can be a benefit to the entire community if you do your due diligence. So that's what's on the
Mm-hmm.
horizon for 2025. We gonna bop
Ooh,
around 3 to 6 months at a time.
that is so
Yeah,
exciting. That is so exciting.
yeah,
And you mentioned something just like it came up like the American ideal of individualism has come up
yes.
a lot. As you've been speaking of like the communal aspect that you have to kind of transition to, a
Mm-hmm,
mindset shift, right? From
mm-hmm,
feeling like
mm-hmm,
everything is yours and then you have to be very closed off to now
mm-hmm.
enter something like a co-living group where you have to interact with
Right,
people with different
right,
backstories, different trauma histories, all these things that kind of intersect. And so
exactly.
part like how was that transition for you, like undoing this ideal
Mm,
of individualism that's pushed so
yeah,
hard in the US?
yeah, you're absolutely right. Let's just be 100 with it. There's a global affordable housing crisis, right?
Mm-hmm.
And listen, when there's a crisis anywhere in the world, it's completely traumatic for the Black community, Black women
Mm-hmm.
in particular. Excuse me. So when I decided that Wendy and I got together last year and we said we're going to team up on house sits. So that was the seed that was planted. Okay, there's two dogs and maybe we could share the responsibilities and we could travel together. And, it's all about, I'm going to all these fabulous places and all I can do is take videos and pictures. It's not real time, right? I can share it with those that I love the most, but it's not real time. It's different sitting across from somebody at the ocean at a restaurant enjoying capriascas in Portugal, right? It's a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
In
Mm-hmm.
real time. And so we were like, okay, let's just try it out. Let's get one house sit that we'll do together and see how it goes. We were both very open to sharing spaces, sharing the responsibilities. Co-living really wasn't on my mind at that point. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
let's see about this shared house sitting. And it worked fabulously. We were together for 5.5 months. And it was the greatest experience. And this is coming from myself, who had been married the majority of my adult life, sharing space with family, spouse, whatever. And Wendy had been single for more than 30 years. So we didn't know whether or not we
Mm-hmm.
could live together. But after the first sharing house sit, we were like, okay, this was good. You want to do another one? You want to do another one? And we wound up staying together for 5 months.
Wow.
So fast forward, the middle of last year into the holiday season, and she was like, "Okay, so what we doing this year?" And I'm like, "We're gonna do co-living." And she was game for it. I said, "But we got to do this 30-day healing session in Cuenca." Okay, fine, I'll do that. So we were the original Gangsta Grannies cohort in Cuenca. And so that's really where it was born. Last year when we were doing it, I was like, let's just share some responsibilities. These sits are fabulous. You can have your own room, that type of thing. But we didn't know for sure that we could live together, because think about a marriage. Y'all in love,
Mm-hmm.
everything is good. That's why they have premarital counseling, right? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? What about this? And what about that? When this arises, what you gonna do? So
Mm-hmm.
from that first experience was when we decided, yeah, we're going to do some healing, and we are going to be the best co-living mates that we possibly can be for one another, and through this year of proof of concept. So it's just been an amazing journey.
Yay. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I,
That's
I
amazing.
encourage other women to
That's
really
amazing.
consider it. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. You shared so much. So thank you so much for being here. I do want to
Oh, my
ask before we
pleasure. Thanks for
depart,
having me. Yeah,
yeah, how people can learn about your journey, any offers that you have, and yeah, how people
absolutely.
can follow you.
Okay. Yes. Well, I am the gallivanting grandma. So through my website, which is www.thegallivantinggrandma, as well as my social media outlets on Instagram, as well as Facebook, and my YouTube channel. I am trying to do better about putting up regular YouTube videos, particularly about documenting this journey this year, this international co-living travel journey. um, so yeah, anybody who wants to get any information, hit me up. Follow me on YouTube, The Gallivanting Grandma. And if you need to conquer that fear of the water and learn how to swim, come join us in Cartagena for 10 days for a luxury learning experience back to the water in August 17th through 27th. So it's going to be an incredible space for transformation. Um, this is a lifelong fear that I've had. I grew up on the
Hmm.
water, never learned how to swim. When I get finished jumping off the back of that yacht, girl, you're gonna have to have me back, because I'm gonna be so exuberant.
I
Come on,
love
let's go
that.
swimming. Let's go swimming.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and for those who may be joining, can you just share again about Back to the Water? Because it's such an amazing initiative. And as I shared, like when I saw the post that you had, I think it was
Yes.
you. Was it you scuba diving or something? Like I don't know. It was a shot from like under the
Yep.
water, like
Yep.
everything to
That
the
was me.
surface.
Listen, that
Yeah.
was me trying to. I, that was me last year in Puerto Vallarta. I was there for my 61st birthday. And I said,
Hmm.
okay, you're going to do something to try and conquer this fear again. So I booked a snorkel photo shoot. Now I can't swim. I'm in the ocean. with somebody I don't know. I trust that he is, the professional that he says. And yes, it took me about 45 minutes just to get my mind right to like leave the shore. He's showing me how to use the snorkel equipment, etc. I really had to just release my fears, and put
Hmm.
my trust in this professional. And that's exactly what I did. So that's where it was born. I'm sorry, what was the question? I got so caught up in that.
I was just like talking about the picture, the post that I
Yes,
saw.
so that is me.
Um,
That really is me in the picture. Um, I was on my back, which I can't believe I did that. I was on my back. He was holding my finger. You know how you do a
mhm.
little baby when they're learning how to walk, and he just had my finger as we were in the water, and he's got his other hand, and he's just snapping pictures and everything. And I'm amazed at the sea life that I'm finally able to experience. I'm looking and I'm like, oh my God, did you see that? And did you see? So the beauty of the experience superseded any of the fear that I had at that
Mhm.
moment, because I was like, this is me. I'm in the ocean. I can see these fish. Look at the sea turtle who came out to greet me. So it was an incredibly empowering experience. And I'm glad I documented it, because nobody in my family believed that I was going to do it. But I've surprised them on a few different occasions, but that's where I decided, you know what, I'm gonna learn how to swim. So back to the water, like I said, that really is a very personal um feat. I've got to
Mhm.
conquer it. I got to do it. I want to swim. It's great exercise as we're getting older. It works all your muscles, non-impactful, right? Keep those joints lubricated, keep moving. Maybe I'm not going to get so many steps. Maybe I'm going to get some strokes now. That's what I'm looking forward to. How many laps can I do?
Yeah.
Next year, this time, after I learn this vital life saving skill. Because,
Mhm.
the swim disparity is real. Black
Yes.
women drown at a
Mhm.
percentage that is significantly higher than our white counterparts. And that's for a
Yeah.
lot of different reasons. Whether you had access to a pool, whether your parents knew how to swim or had fear of the water, whether, your mom let you get your hair wet. It's a whole lot of things that
Mhm.
go into why we don't know how to swim, that have created this huge disparity amongst the races. And so if we can chop that down one Black woman at a time, then that's my goal. Because my partner in this, which is a nonprofit organization entitled Ignite This Ish, they saw where I was talking about swimming and needing to learn how to swim. And they were like, this is a very important initiative. So all the statistics around the swim disparity and the history around Black people and water is coming out of that nonprofit organization. And they've said, listen, this is a 5-year initiative. So this is our inaugural retreat in
Wow. Okay.
Cartagena, Colombia, but we got
Okay.
4 more on tap. So I'm very excited about it. And it's affirming, right? When you
Mhm.
put something out into the universe and other folks are like, yeah, yeah, that's me. Like
Mhm.
we need this. We absolutely need this. And I know that we do. Women are signing up. Women had signed up, sent in their deposits before we even announced what country we were going to be hosting it in. So there's a need and there is a desire to conquer this aquaphobia once and for all. So we're going to do it together.
Yay.
Yeah,
And is there
yeah.
still room if people want to
There's
sign
still
up or?
room. Sign up.
Okay.
Back to the
Okay.
water to the number two, back the number two, thewater.com.
Okay.
Yeah. And like I said,
Wonderful.
it's 10 days. We've got a luxury mansion in Old Town in the walled city, with two pools that are on site. So you don't have to go to a public pool where people are looking at you. So we have eliminated all of the reasons why you would be hesitant to learn. We're all starting from ground zero. I don't know how to swim. I don't know how to breathe. I don't know how to kick. I don't know how to use my arms. We all going to learn it together, but we're going to conquer it mentally, emotionally, and physically. We're going to be in that water.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. We're going to be in
incredible.
that water.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
I'm excited.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so
Yeah.
please, if you are interested, I will link this in the description section too after
Thank
this
you.
video as well.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Backtothewater.com to sign up. You said
Mm-hmm.
Cartagena, Colombia?
Cartagena. Yes. Beautiful
Okay.
Cartagena. And we've got, I meet the most incredible sisters in every country that I visit. And our on the ground personal concierge is a woman who has been living there for the past 3 years full time, originally from the Atlanta area. And she knows all the best places and all the best excursions. And she actually has the flying dress experience photo shoot. You put on that
Oh, yeah,
dress like
yeah.
you see in Santorini. Well, she has brought
Mm-hmm.
that to Colombia. So we're gonna have a group photo shoot. It's just gonna be phenomenal.
Oh my God.
It's gonna
That
be
sounds
phenomenal.
amazing.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Wow.
So yeah,
And you said
sign
it's in
up, sign up.
August?
August 17th through 22nd.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful.
And I
Okay.
think it is not by chance that we are speaking on Blackout Friday. May I speak on that?
Mm.
Just
Oh,
just a minute.
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
It's just we talking about community. It is a powerful reminder for us as a community to be intentional about where we direct our resources and our energy. I'm not in the States, so I'm not tempted to, go to any of the big box stores because they are not here, first of all. Second of all, Amazon does not deliver. So, my dedication to it is probably a little bit easier than some other folks who are stateside, right? And I recognize that. But this movement is about economic empowerment, collective support, and shifting our mindset from consumerism to community investment. Invest in the
Yes.
community that feeds you. Invest in the community that supports you, that waters you. So it's a call of action today, and we need to be intentional about it. So thank you for having me on this important day, Blackout Friday.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's so
Yeah,
important. That's so important. Where your dollar is going to,
absolutely.
um, because we see, right, the ways
Yeah.
that, ooh, a lot of these folks are just blatantly disregarding
Uh,
um, our lives,
mm-hmm.
devaluing us, right?
Yep.
And we have the power and control over where our money goes, where our
Right.
resources go,
Right.
if we are funding them or not, or deciding to invest other places. Yep,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Absolutely. I think this is a call to find out who's doing what in your immediate community, because there are vibrant Black owned businesses. I've been a serial entrepreneur my entire life, and at one point I had a brick and mortar in North Carolina. And it's just important to support the people who are amplifying us in a positive way. So get out and
Hmm.
find out, where are the Black owned businesses in your community. Support them.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe it's a little distance from where you live, but Walmart don't need your money. The small businesses do.
hmm,
Yeah,
hmm.
yeah. So
That's so
support the
important.
community that supports you.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, but I do want to ask as we're winding down. Again, thank y'all so much for being here in the chat, sharing everything that you
Yes,
shared.
thank you.
Um, yeah, any parting words as we wind down for the night?
You know what? I'm going to leave you with this. I said that my favorite hashtag is faith over fear. My second favorite hashtag is gratitude is the only attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And if you position yourself in a space of gratitude, you will find that nothing is insurmountable, right? You can do anything that you want from a space of gratitude. And for that reason, I journal on a regular basis. That's part of my healing and my wellness work personally on an everyday basis, sometimes twice a day. And I do have a complimentary gratitude journal on my website, the Gallivanting Grandma, which you can download. And if you're not used to journaling, give it a try. Because I think once you start writing down the things that you are grateful for, they will outweigh any of the fears and hesitations that you may have in this world. Look back over your life and see what you've already overcome. I conquered that.
It's
So
true.
therefore I can do this. My journal is my mirror to remind me, oh girl, you remember when you were scared to go to Ecuador the first time? Now I'm like, yo, I'm coming to Ecuador.
Yeah,
It
that's
changes
true.
your perspective. It changes your
Hmm.
mindset. And if you have a journal that you can look back on from year to year to year, you will see your growth if you're being honest with yourself. You know, just don't put the fluff in there. Put the facts. That's what we learned in Cuenca. Put the facts, you know, and talk about
Hmm.
your feelings in a very realistic and honest, transparent way. So that you can big up yourself anytime you need to. I go back to my journals from 22, 23, and I'm like, girl, you done came a long way. You done that thing. So give yourself permission to
Hmm.
pat yourself on the back every once in a while and do it by journaling. So I hope you'll download the complimentary journal.
Oh, yes. Give yourself
Yeah.
permission. Yes, y'all, please visit Diamond's website. And I'll link it in the description as well after this video.
Mhm.
But yes, this has been incredible.
Thank
I
you so
agree.
much for
This
the
has been great.
opportunity. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for being here and sharing everything that you shared. And
Yes.
yeah, look forward to
I don't know. I'm gonna have
supporting.
to find a way to get you to Columbia, girl, because we need some of this.
Uh,
Get outside your mental box when
okay,
it
that'd be
comes
amazing.
to conquering this aquaphobia. So you and I need to have a conversation.
Absolutely. Oh, I would be down.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. The women,
Yeah.
I think that you will resonate so well with the ladies. Um,
Hmm.
and it's all about each one reach one. Yeah.
Hmm.
So this is an event that is for Black women and everybody who is part of this team, whether it be from the excursions to the therapists to the swim instructors, they are Afro Latina or they are
Hmm.
Black women. So, it's a for us,
Hmm.
by us type of thing.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank y'all so much. And I would be down just to reiterate that again. That's just, oh my gosh, the branding, the
Mhm.
advertising, the messaging, the importance really of this
Yeah.
initiative. When I
Yeah.
saw
Thank
that,
you
it was
so
like,
much.
wow, it's
Thank you.
incredible. You're welcome. You're
Well,
welcome.
I have to give a shout out to my nonprofit partner,
Yeah.
Ignite This
Hmm.
Ish and Nikki, because they are the brains and the creativity behind what you see online, the Back to the Water website, and all the things that make it happen. I'm curating the experience personally, but I could not have done it alone because technology is not my wheelhouse. So they just came in and said, yeah, we got that part. And so, when you find again like-minded people who
Hmm.
affirm what you're trying to do, everything you need is in the house. It's in the community. You just got to
It's
open your
true.
mouth and ask.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, yes, this has been so inspiring.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
sharing all the resources that you shared
Absolutely.
during
I,
this
I
interview.
appreciate you having me on your platform. You are doing phenomenal things in the mental health space. And so I thank you for the work that you are doing. Because we're out here and we need people to talk real to us,
Hmm.
and who can identify with what it is that we're feeling and going through. So thank you for the work that you're doing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
It's been a
And yes,
pleasure.
y'all. Yes, likewise. And please find all of Diamond's links in the description section if you're watching the replay as well. And yes, again, thank y'all so much for being here live. If you're watching the replay, thank you. Please like this video so it's shared with other people. And until next time, y'all, happy
All
Friday.
right. Happy
Bye. Thank you again,
Friday.
Diamond.
Peace and
Bye.
blessings. Bye.